This good practice review has been commissioned because we live in an urban world. Something like 12 years ago, we became more urban than rural, and urbanisation is at a staggering 1.5 million people a week. And with that comes many good things, but also more crises, more naturally triggered disasters, the impacts of climate change, violence, and the consequences of those shifts, which are people being forcibly displaced. And we're living at a time where more people are being pushed out from where they live than ever before around the world as refugees or as migrants elsewhere. At the same time, we have an aid system that's largely based on rural expertise, largely. And so the idea behind this good practice review is in effect to urbanise our urban humanitarian response. This review was commissioned by two UK think tanks, the Overseas Development Institute, or ODI, and ALNAP. And the Good Practice Review, it's one of a series that ODI puts out, in fact. This review is for those engaged in urban humanitarian response. There are the traditional actors, NGOs, United Nations agencies, members of the Red Cross, Red Crescent movement, of course local governments in affected countries, also military organisations. In effect, because we're in a new urban landscape, if you like, in humanitarian action, it's whoever's engaged in effective response. So what's in the Good Practice Review? It's 4 chapters, 27 sections. The first part of the review is around the context, looking at violence and climate, ways of seeing the city. There are many different ways of seeing the city, systems or people. And then we talk about coordination and tools and mechanisms for engaging in that. There's a whole section on frameworks and approaches and how other people are doing the kind of work that's being done right now. And then finally, a large portion of the review is what's called sectoral responses in the aid world. So that's water, sanitation and hygiene, it's health, it's shelter, it's settlements, it's debris removal. So it's cutting those issues according to how the aid system is currently set up. So the information was gathered based on what's good evidence, what's good practice. It was then assembled and drafts were sent out to practitioners for review. And each section went through several reviewers and several edits to come out with what hopefully is a useful, so what piece of work. There's of course a lot that could be said about what the takeaways are. First and foremost, the complexity of the city is something to work with, to embrace, and to engage with, not something to push against. So that's using cash and markets. It's engaging with people who are entrepreneurs with skill sets. It's assisting recovery rather than assuming you will provide solutions. There's a humility there, there's a dignity, a respect that cuts across all good aid. Listening to those who are especially vulnerable, finding those who are especially vulnerable, which can be very hard. If you're hidden in the city, you might have gone to the city to escape and to hide. And good aid, is about working with those who are most vulnerable. The review has, of course, a lot of technical information around flexible management approaches or profiling or context analysis or good evaluations. But the underlying principle is to work with what you have and engage with it, not push against it. The hope for the publication, of course, is that it's found to be practical, it's found to be evidence-based, and it's found to be valuable and understandable by those who are seeking to provide good response. In the next 25 years, there's going to be nearly 2 billion extra people living in cities if those predictions are correct, of course. So this is what it is right now at this time, and we need to learn for the future as well and to get better at what we do.